I get really curious and filled with expectations about new D&D releases, and that excitement always made me wonder what drives the choice of which book to publish next, including the ones that were announced for 2023. I used to work in strategy consulting firms, and one of the things that I used to do in this job was building the perceived strategy of computing firms within a market segment. In order to do that, you basically build estimates and assumptions from whichever data and market knowledge is available. So I wanted to share the perceived strategy for D&D book releases, including a neat sales estimation I built using the volume of Amazon reviews as a proxy. Here's some of the questions I believe I managed to answer. 1. What are the best-selling D&D books? If we use core rules as a 100 base index, as they are the best-selling product line, we can check the relative performance of other products. The next in line are expanded rules books, then starter sets, campaign settings, and lastly, adventures. But the gap of all of them to core rules sales is huge, and that explains the drive to release a new set of core rules books within one D&D. There is an important lesson learned from the transition from 3E to 4E, which is a reboot can damage your product. That's why one D&D is a compromise between the desire to launch new core rules books, but without scrapping the successful and stable game system in place. D&D also learned from 4E the importance of preserving game balance and simplicity, two things that are majorly impacted by expanded rules books. And I think that's the reason why, despite their great sales, we don't see as many of them published. 2. What's the strategy behind the release of new D&D books? It's basically a combination of attracting new customers and making more sales, while keeping fans playing and preserving the game system stability. New core rules and starter sets are limited by their own nature, so the golden geese of sales are really expanded rules books. I think that's why D&D is testing new types of content in that front. A look on campaign settings also helps us understand the role of the many Magic the Gathering settings we've seen so far. Despite their lower sales, they have a strategic role of converting Magic fans into new D&D customers. But the higher sales of classic settings and new settings, such as Wild Mount, gives me comfort we'll see many other of those releases in the future. As for adventures, they have the core role of keeping fans playing despite their lower sales volume. 3. What should we expect from the 5 D&D releases of 2023? Glory of Giants seems to be the second volume of a new line of bestiaries focused on monster types, started with Treasury of Dragons. The Book of Many Things will likely be a player options book that doesn't rely so heavily on new subclasses, and rather on new backgrounds and feats that will gain renewed importance within one D&D. Keys from the Golden Vault is a heist adventure anthology aimed at surfing on the release of Honor Among Thieves, which is a heist movie. The Phandelver campaign will expand the Lost Mine of Phandelver adventure, but I think there is a chance it reprints other published materials, such as the Essentials Kit adventure and its D&D Beyond sequels. Lastly, Planescape is likely to repeat the Spelljammer gift set format. Let's hope that with many more pages this time. Of course, whenever you build a perceived strategy like this, you gotta rely heavily on common sense, bits of information, and your own knowledge on the subject. And that clearly gives room for missing bits, imprecisions, and even blunt mistakes. So tell me, what do you think I'm dead wrong about? And what important insight do you think I'm missing?